apart from tar and feathering some people. We have a website, schoolfundingshellgame.org, and there are a bunch of short pieces here, right? Each one has a picture, a caption, and a few paragraphs. They're very quick to read, they're very easy, and we're trying to use humor to make very, very serious points. And so, there's a bunch of them, and there's more all the time. And one of the things that we would love you to do is go and look at those, right? And if any of them resonate with you, if you think, oh my God, that's right, that's what I think, share them, okay? And by share them, I mean you could print them out and send them to your representatives. You could share them with your friends on social media. Or if you want, if you'd like to go down and express your support or opposition to something in Concord and you can't think of what to say, print one out, take it with you and read it. It'll take you 30 seconds. And these are the kinds of things that people you'll be talking to can't hear enough from enough people. Okay, it's not the kind of thing they'll sink in the first time. They need to know that a lot of people believe this stuff. And so again, the bottom line is this. I honestly believe, and this is why we are the Coalition for Fairness in Education, I think that unless we change the definition of fairness and remove the focus of fairness from money, then if we don't do that, we are going to keep doing what we've been doing, and we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. School funding reform lemmings. So that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Internationally, where do we fall as far as per pupil spending? And is there any other countries that have models similar to what you're advocating for?
You might know more about that than me.
You know what? I've seen some things, and we spend way more per kid than anybody else, as far as I can tell.
Except Luxembourg.
There we go. Okay, somebody
So I
has
looked that up. So the only country, which is a small little tiny country, that spends more than us is Luxembourg.
Wow.
But, so my answer to that would be, money isn't the issue.
Right. Well, how about with teaching towards the goal of adequacy in order to save resources or to better allocate resources?
Mm-hmm.
Are any other countries doing that?
I don't actually know. I mean, it'd be an interesting thing to look into. But
Finland
Finland?
is supposedly one of the tops in the world, and they don't start their children until 7 years of age.
Huh.
Okay. It's mandatory. Well, it's not. They do not require preschool, kindergarten. You don't start any form of formal education until you're 7, and then they're supposedly been the tops for quite some time.
Right, so a couple of things. One, just like New Hampshire is near the top, but still not doing that.
Yeah.
Being near the top is sort of like having the smallest tumor.
Well, they've been at the top according to the
Right.
NAEP scores.
Yeah, the internet, the TIMS, that's right.
Yes.
I mean, I think they do something else. They made a huge change in how they train teachers.
Yes.
They made a huge bar to get accepted to a teaching college.
Are you
Right.
talking where?
In Finland.
So Finland is a very interesting study. Number one, Finland teachers come out of the top 10% of the graduating college students.
The teachers
And
are
the teachers
top
come from the
10%.
top 10% of the graduating students. That is not so, or anywhere near so, in the United States.
That's right.
They're also paid, as should be, very well.
Well,
You know, and that's one of the things that teachers like to bring up, that they make a lot of money, but they're the best of the best
Yeah.
coming out of college.
Right.
And they also don't just put the teachers' college. They accept people that have studied in other areas
Yes.
of study.
Sure. But are they doing anything that's fundamentally different than just, okay, you go and you're there for a certain amount of time?
Well,
do
they do-
kids
they do
graduate
have-
early? example.
I don't know for sure, but I did hear, and when you was talking about paying for seat time, I think that, that they have to, 180 days makes an education. Well, they don't think that in terms of that, you know, they go through and they do different modules or whatever, but they don't require that they sit in a seat for 180 days.
Okay.
So then another example is Korea, who's also up there, like second, and they switch first and second, I think, a lot. Finland and Korea. Korea, they have the
You're
required.
talking North Korea, of course.
No. They have mandatory schooling, and it's like in the morning from like 8 to noon, and kids usually sleep through that, so they can go to their private tutors in the afternoon. These tutors get paid a fortune, and these kids are there to learn. Now they're trying to get out of a situation, being in a poor country, so they have much more motivation than people do here to do better. And there's also a different respect thing from children to adults. I mean, the whole, you know, everything's different, but it's private. Parents pay for it, and they feel like they need to help their kids get ahead, kind of like the immigrants of 100 years ago here, right?
Singapore moms.
Huh?
Singapore moms.
Like, okay.
You know,
Right.
I mean, these moms, they push their kids, and it pays off.
Right. But the thing about making any international comparison that I would caution you against is those are different cultures. They have different ideas about what's right, what's wrong, the importance of the individual versus the importance of society, right? They have different goals. And so a lot of countries say value harmony over individual happiness. Those are going to give you very different results, and they're going to lead to very different ways of doing things. And because one of those scores higher on a test doesn't mean that you'd be willing to adopt that culture and that point of view in order to get that result. Mostly when I hear people talk about other countries, I'm like, I don't really care. It's not my problem. My problem is this country, where we have a certain way of thinking about what it means to have a government and what it means to, under what conditions I can take money from him and give it to him, right? If you want to give up all those and just say, look, it's all everybody's money and let's just throw it in a big pool and spread it out. I mean, if you want to do that, you might get some very different results. You might actually get worse results, judging from past history. But yeah, I'm more concerned with starting from not who's doing better on what tests, but more from first principles and saying, what is it we are trying to do? We want to have people in a society who can do certain things, right? Who can, I mean, hit the low bar, make change in a restaurant, right? But at the high bar, be able to, if employers come in, would they rather have somebody who can actually, you can say, here's a manual that explains how we do things, read it, let me know if you have any questions, and they can actually read it, or somebody who basically is, well, aren't you going to read it for me? Is there a video game I could play? Have you made this fun for me? Right? Would you rather have people who have done, who have learned some very, I hate to use the word core, but very central, a set of central foundational fundamental skills and mastered them? Or would you rather have a bunch of people who have half-assed 40 or 50 different things? Personally, as an employer, I'd rather have a guy that I can teach, that I can say, look, you need to learn this by next week, you know? So, I think we will do better to look at our own situation and our own motivation and our own goals and our own constraints. The game we're trying to play is not the game that Finland is playing, it's not the game that China is playing, it's not the game that Korea is playing. We're playing the game called America. So our job is to do that as well as we can. So.
But
Yeah.
also to go back, we do not value education. The majority of I'm a former teacher, so the majority of the people, students and everything, do not value an education. They are not motivated.
I think that's true, and I think that's partly
And
because it's something sort of forced on you.
Right.
You're not
And
given the choice,
especially
yeah.
the way it's being presented with Common Core and
Right.
and all of
Yeah.
what we're dumbing down our society completely. But I do feel that, you know, we do have to have a sense of bringing our children that, you know, well, I'll use my own example is, you know, when I was dropped off at school, it's the reverse of yours where but this works. When I was dropped off at school, I was told, this is my job. and you're supposed to do well on your job. That was what my father said to me, and everything. So, but kids don't get that. And the point with school choice though, and these things, when the parents do have to pay, they do get more involved.
Sure.
And some days I used to say, I'd rather, I'll go share this analogy. I was a Title I teacher, and I used to say, I'm going out with my cattle prod, and I'm gonna poke a few kids to learn and get them, because they would say time and time, can't you do it for me? No, I did it. I've gone to school, I've learned. So therefore, but now it's your job to do it. Well, they sparked up and did it. But on the other hand, another thing, I was a Title I teacher, and so certain children wouldn't lose what they had gained in the year.
Right.
We would recommend they go to Sylvan Learning Center. Well, I found out that Sylvan Learning Center, if you pay for that, that's almost a college tuition
Oh, wow.
to go to that. Well, and also it's not local, it's not in the town, so the parents have to take time out of their day to drop the kid off, and they don't let them just drop them off. They have to stay there while they're being tutored. And then so the parent is inconvenienced. Well, I can't tell you how many parents came back the following year. My child progressed tremendously this summer. Why can't you do that?
Because it's free, right? I mean, there's a story I read once about Mercedes-Benz, that they were, at some point, they were thinking about lowering their prices, and they lowered their prices and found their sales went down. And then they raised them, and they found the sales went up, which seems counterintuitive, right? You think people want to pay less. But at the higher price, people value them more. They think this is something worth having, right? And if education is something that's free and you have to do it, why would you put a value on it? Why would you think this is important at all? Yes.
No, just to reinforce what you just said, Mercedes actually had a marketing strategy, though, and their advertising was geared heavily to that, is to sell you on why this high price was the best. And then they did a very good job of it.
Yeah.
And they backed it up somewhat. So with a super.
Yeah. They're great cars.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that there was a counterintuitive relationship between prices and demand.
But they did sell it, and just like Harvard or
Yeah.
something, whatever, self-promotional educational institutions sell their high price in the market. I'd like to ask, just because we have two newly elected state reps here, what their view, we have Dave Closson here and Terry Roy, what their view of the, since money is a floating shell game here that we're dealing with, whether we should have the current property tax funding schools or a sales and or income tax.